still feels like these players have almost something to prove for themselves. Like I know they've been, I mean, every single player on their roster has played at TI and has had incredible placements, but this first season of the DPC, they have looked honestly abysmal, and I reckon they have something to prove here.
It's very similar to that Fnatic story we had in the SEA qualifiers as well. You know, they want something they have something to prove. They want to show that they can still do it, even if they did have that shocking performance in the DPC seasons. But banning wise, Elephant going to do Puck, Terrorblade, Luna ban, and picking up the Wyvern. Do quite like the Wyvern. I've seen her absolutely obliterate some of the carries, let's just say. A very good enabling hero.
Yeah, and there was a game where it was actually played as a mid laner in Europe last night. So
was it? Who played that?
It was Tundra. They beat OG with a mid Wyvern. I imagine these two teams saw the draft and they're like, oh, that looked pretty damn good. I think it actually got banned in the game after. But at the same time, I think we're seeing support Wyvern if your mid laner is not being, practicing or playing mid Wyvern. Not the time to bust it out. Got that little anecdote, but I think Wyvern's just good because it's like you say, it can ruin a lot of carries day. Most carries are going to be heavy physical damage, and they ban out the Luna, which is one of the more magic damage driven carries. And it's just a strong laner. Wyvern plus any melee carry is generally going to do well, just slaying with the Splinter Blast, kind of cure creeps in it. It's just a very safe pick for it.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that one. Side of MagMa, bans are going to be Elder Titan, the Lifesteal of the Medusa, and picking up the Death Prophet. Death Prophet being sat on a little bit after seeing that Wyvern pick. And then Elephant coming out with the Wraith King. Like you said, Wyvern and Wraith King most likely to lane together, do you believe? And then we'll be slotting that line into the 4. So it's that, Wyvern being paired with a melee Harry to go quite well.
It's like just Lena's going to be going mid. It's kind of interesting. Elephant just straight up first pick their mid. It really showcases how, I think historically having second pick of the draft means you're using, because Elephant's going to have the final 10th pick of all these heroes. Generally, that's where you want to save it for your mid lane or sometimes your carry, but teams are just learning they're not getting that wow factor out of their last pick. So Elephant's like, well, let's just first pick Lena. It's one of the best mids in the pool. There's no heroes that really hard counter it. TA is one of the better ones who already banned it out. So
5 seconds remaining.
Happy to first pick their Lena and use their last pick of the draft probably for an offlaner to go with Lion.
I know we see the Spectre coming out of MagMa, but I still want to quickly touch on the Elephant side. We have Wraith King, who could be someone who's quite tanky. Then we have the Lion and the Lena for the burst damage. What do you think Elephant are missing to complete that draft for them?
I think they need a little bit of crowd control, right? If Yang's hero, they can push towers with the Wraith King.
10 seconds remaining.
You need a melee 3 now to play. You see the Spectre. What is it? A
5 seconds remaining.
Plus, we don't actually see Kaz's here. Oh, actually, no. More than likely the Hoodwink. So, looking either for their 4 or 5. I'm just trying to see what's available for Yang, though.
I think Tide is the one that Tide just Spectre in lane. Little surprised it's not banned. I think it's in other regions. Tide is just being the go-to 3 position. Here, banning Viper makes sense.
10 seconds remaining.
Viper with the break is really good against Spectre. Doom is just kind of like one of the more meta heroes in trying to qualifier. But Tide stands out to me as here. Gives you that team fight. You mentioned crowd control areas. Other than that, I don't see any. I mean, there's probably other offlaners that can be that kind of centaur type hero as well. Works. See.
Side of MagMa, what would they be missing to complete theirs? Is it possible that they do the old tricky pick deny? They pick up the Tide Hunter, so they can't get the Tide Hunter.
Looking for a Mian here, I believe, because Kaz often's playing the Hoodwink. I think they want a way to go in, although if it's a Mars 3, you really like a ranged 4, but you're happy with just a Mars to jump to start these fights, especially with the Lion, Wyvern, Lena. Like, you need to get on top of these heroes. Osprey was a great ban. Like, that is an incredible Mian hero.
Shakiro! Wow, yeah. Is that something you guys like the look of for MagMa? It doesn't give you that jump that you guys were talking about, though.
It's
10 seconds
interesting. I
remaining.
am not even thinking immediately that I don't like it. They just need a support. So what
5
does
seconds
Jakiro bring?
remaining.
Ice Path, very good AoE disable from the support.
I think if you get a good
ball.
Mars Arena, it pays well, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and it's a hero that
Your
has a
hero.
lot of damage, magic damage into the Winter Wyvern save. It's a strong laner. I think that's one of the best parts about Jakiro. At least it's just you've got high stats, pretty tanky. But yeah, was not at all expecting to see a Jakiro today. I don't even. Something tells me that's like maybe the first Jakiro we've seen on qualifiers. Although I don't remember this hero being on the.
Stuck there in one of those games. But that brew is also going to be coming out for Elephant, and I have to ask what I always ask, team Aries. Looking at the drafts now, which team are you favoring?
I like Elephant's draft.
Okay.
I want to see how the Jakiro fares, but I think they have a lot of control on Elephant and just their team fight. I think they have a much easier way to execute this game compared to MagMa's line.
Yeah. And Gods?
I will also go with Elephant. You know, doubting MagMa, they keep proving me wrong. So we'll see if that's going to continue to be the theme here, because these guys are making a hell of a run in the low bracket. They're definitely impressive. But I don't also see Dust playing. He's not on that kind of explosive mid laner that can that semi carry that can just win a game like we saw with TA and Morphling. I think Death Prophet's a good.
In the underdog, I believe that even though MagMa's draft might be a little bit harder to execute, I think they've got something going on that we don't really understand about. So I'm going to go with them and their lineup full. For game number best of 3.
And here we are,
Prepare for
semi-finals, Parker. 3 teams remaining for 1 spot at TI-10. The underdogs knocked out RNG yesterday in a stellar 3-game series, and can they do it again? Do you feel like, I know we were both kind of siding on Elephant here, but this Jakiro last pick, the Hoodwink support, and again, you've got Dust on not as much of a playmaker or like this kind of carry-esque mid lane hero that we see so often. So do we feel like MagMa could somehow take it over?
They've definitely got ways to. I think they need their offlane with this Mars to go well. TZY has played this Mars a few times, and he's looked really good. He goes for this Orb of Corrosion build and puts a lot of pressure on the lane. I think that's why they picked this Jakiro, to just try and win their offlane. Wraith King has looked like a bit of a weaker carry as of late. Just the laning stage is something that you can kind of punish. With a Wyvern, maybe that's a little bit hard, but I think that Elephant, their safe lane, and the MagMa offlane is kind of the lane watch. I imagine Dust will do fine mid, same for Somnus. It's not an easy Death Prophet game. With Lion Lena, double zaps, there's a lot of burst damage to bring that. Probably BKB come out fairly early, but very much this is a draft for MagMa, which I can see them winning with. I think the Spectre, the Brew Pick is a hero that's not going to completely ruin your lane, so we could Shylock at least get farm.
Yeah, and speaking about the Death Prophet, they don't really have a way to enable her. Often we see like an Oracle, maybe even a Wyvern as well with that Holy Locket heal, but they've got nothing to really enable Dust through these fights. Do we feel like this is going to be an issue as the game goes on?
It could be. I think as Death Prophet, you have to kind of learn after the itemization around the fact, yeah, that save doesn't exist. For Dust, that probably means, I don't know if he'll go to Yules. Maybe there's like the Sanj and Kaya build where you get nice and tanky with the Sanj with the status resist. BKB has to come out this game. But I think, again, to me, BKB Blink seems like a really good kind of mid-game build to have. Maybe following the Yule Scepter. But he needs to tank up as much as possible. But he doesn't have that enabled.
You were highlighting that Elephant, the stellar offlane with FY and Yang. Do you feel like they have kind of the duo right now, these heroes, to outlane the Spectre and the Hoodwink?
Yep. Definitely put a lot of pressure in this lane. The Cinderbrew really scales well. We've seen the 5-position Brewmaster coming out from Red Panda where he just kind of maxes out the spell. So we'll see if that's where Yang goes. At the same time, I think Shylock's gotten better and better. He was kind of, we highlight Dust a lot, but he played a super solid, great carry yesterday. So on the Spectre, I don't think the expectation is you win your lane. You're just trying to get as much farm as possible before rotating back into the game.
Down bot, we were highlighting that the Mars and the Jakiro could be a lane that is going to be very aggressive and up in the face of Elephant. We see at the moment they're actually already trying to play for pulls. What do you think the reasoning is for this instead of going head to head?
I think for Elephant this lane, maybe they're feeling it's a bit tough. Fighting Hero especially early on can be tricky, but I'm going to put some pressure on TZY.
The extra level advantage. I know Mian's still only level 1 at the moment, and also they add a bit of a window where the Jakiro pretty slow. I mean, 290 movement speed, so away from the Mars, they can get aggressive here.
They're getting a lot of damage on this Jakiro with another staff. That level 2 advantage you were talking about.
Does have the Orbital Corrosion queued up though for TZY, so you can get a nice couple of extra waves here. Maybe that Orbital Corrosion can come out at a fast timing where these slows just might be overwhelming, and then Elephant have to really be on point with their positioning.
Yeah, when he's had a really good start to his lane, he's sometimes gone it before the phase boot, but I think if the lane is going even, or if they're getting pressured, we may see the more kind of safe standard items come out. Yeah, things kind of progress there for him. But so far, yeah, these lanes going mostly as expected. There is that edge going the way of Elephant up top. Spectre being pressured quite a lot. Only the 9 last hits and constantly getting harassed.
Is this a bit worrying? Because it never really feels like Brew is quite the strongest position 3 laner.
I think it's okay. I think it's just tough. You're Spectre again. I mean, that's the thing with Bruce. I think not the strongest off laner, but when you're against a Spectre, suddenly it's like, oh, I'm actually a good laner suddenly. But Spectre is just theoretically the weakest laning carry that's currently in the meta, I think. Like even TB and stuff has the reflection and metamorph to play around in the lane. Spectre just has.
We saw yesterday when we were actually casting that RNG vs Asta series that they were prioritizing a lot for D-Stones as leaner, and D-Stones wasn't getting too active on the map with the early Yule Scepter. Do you think this could be a little bit different here for Somnus, in particular with just how active he's looking to get?
Yeah, I can see him going for some early rotations. A lot probably depends on these power runes. But with Brewmaster, hitting that fast level 6 as a core hero, that's obviously a great lane for Lina to rotate to. I think the key thing is rotating to your off lane. Like, you don't need to play around Eurus on the Wraith King at all. Just let him fall back to the jungle once he can't play in his lane anymore. He's a Wraith King, play around your strongest core, which is Brew.
These level 6s get picked up. We might even see the support rotations, but MagMa with a Hoodwink and Jakiro could be a bit difficult for them to get involved at the mid lane and help out with that exorcism.
Money to burn.
As barely gets away from a clap that probably would have killed him there, but he's got 1 charges and a salve. Brewmaster already with this urn. You do not want to be giving him urn charges this early on, so they've got to be careful not to die in this top lane, I feel. Struck by Kaz to deny the pull.
This is where, like, maybe that Lina coming with the level 6 just getting an urn charge, and then this lane could actually start to snowball out of control if start to focus down Kaz's Hoodwink. Where do we feel like, though, we are going to see first blood? We're still 5 minutes in, and either team just a knife's edge, it feels like, right now in this game 1.
I feel like first blood's going to happen like around a rune fight or something. Both teams are going to rotate like 2 supports mid or contest a rune and see maybe a support die at a rune. Laguna Blade or Exorcism killing a support. That would be my guess. Because I don't think it's going to be as simple as Lina just rotates top with a... maybe it is. Could be wrong. But both teams know how important these power runes are. Death Prophet, if you get like a haste rune... I mean, either of these heroes, there's haste. There's so many different plays.
So they are starting to make these rotations mid as the Radiant Observer Ward scouts out Mian. So Super's positioning. This is the awareness. You have this exorcism available. Even a catapult for Somnus, which can start to chip damage onto the tier 1 tower early with how you're able to shove out the lane and a decent amount of attack speed. And it feels like this is just how it's going to play. Like maybe around the Death Prophet, around the Lina, and if you can't really set up on these kills mid, then we're going to have to see those heroes rotate as we're seeing right now. So I'm just looking for a kill up top.
Yeah, this is just the, okay, we didn't get power room, but let's just make the basic move up top with Laguna Blade. Elegant ball. Like first First blood.
First blood.
So close. Kaz actually just caught Xena with the bushwhack. It was almost unable to keep the Spectre alive, but unfortunately first blood picked up. Summonus with the Laguna Blade. Nice pickoff.
It was just a straightforward rotation. I was a bit surprised by Elephant not really contesting the power runes. I think FY, when we talk about Summonus not looking as dominant as maybe as in the past, but plays like that, like very tiny micro plays, are maybe partly why. Like FY playing a bit maybe greedy, doesn't go and secure the runes for Somnus up top. MagMa were camping both runes, but the end result is still obviously great. Elephant instead Somnus says, okay, my support's not going to enable me, let's go enable the rest of my team by making that move there. So Somnus playing very selflessly. The problem is by leaving this mid lane, a lot of damage comes out with the Exorcism, plus that Liquid Fire, even just the 1 point, allowing this T1 mid tower to get down for like almost a quarter health.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe MagMa actually even prioritize a aggressive glyph for them just to keep the creep wave alive and allow Dust not to have to tank up the tower, but looks like he's pretty happy with that, honestly. Like about third health remaining on the T1 mid, he can fall back with the Exo. I think it was a triple or actually quad stack way at the hard camp, and now it's going to give them a couple neutral items to play with early on.
Always great to farm those Saxes after the 7-minute mark, because you want to get those all 4 neutral items as fast as possible. Tier 1 neutral items to me are like those kind of OP considering the timing you get them. There's not really...
You take a look at how both teams are playing around the T1 towers to defend them. I mean, Super just down bot, 3-point Splinter Blast. He's able to solo defend the tower, whereas Dire, they actually have to give up their safe lane. They've got a Hoodwink and a Jakiro. These heroes at the moment aren't able to defend that early T1. So this could definitely come into play here with already Elephant taking an early advantage on the map.
He's own Wyvern away from this bottom T1 tower, so they should be able to bring it down, but yeah, Elephant are just quicker and more decisive. Somnus from
but on the rotations, Elephant continue fighting.
Nice
A lot of emphasis to protect the tower. Karuna's going to get dropped. Instantly answered from Yang's own ultimate with the Primal Split. They'll cycling up the Jakiro. MagMa, they've got the numbers in advantage now, especially with the Exorcism along with the Horn. I'm going to get on top of the Lina. First one to fall here for Elephant. Now they'll turn their attention to Super as the Winter Wyvern will not be able to escape. In-point spear drags back Yang and MagMa. 0 casualties for them. A great use of the Exorcism as Dust gets involved and takes that T1 tower.
That was just... I mean, it wasn't like there was any like amazing 6 spell usage, but it was just like the heads up play. They're keeping in Lina, Ice Path instantly. Mian didn't panic and use the Ice Path. Any of the other heroes knew that Lina was the problem hero. If she gets her spells off, that's where all the damage is coming from. So Somnus gets Ice Path, speared into an arena, has to be Cold Embrace to be kept alive. Everything was used to basically go on the Somnus Lina and superbly execute by
Lane, another ball breaking out. Elephant, well aware that MagMa's ultimates are on cooldown, so they're looking for an engagement. Eurus, sharpshooter on point, along with the Crypt Swarm, deal with the reincarnation, but it looks like Eurus is well away back to safety on his own side of the river. But MagMa, even though they lose the Mars, do successfully defend their T1 tower.
Yeah. Defending it, taking out reincarnation, I think that's kind of an even trade in the end. And what you're, I mean, obviously you don't want Mars to die there if possible, but it's worth throwing away his life to stop your tower taking any more damage and to, you know, exchange your reincarnation. The long cooldown. He's now got 200 seconds where he has to play a lot more cautiously because of that. So puts Magna in a position where they can perhaps make a play on this mid tower themselves. You can't just use that Wraith King as that frontline bait where he just dangles his life, because he, from all the Wraith Kings, I haven't seen any Radiance. Maybe it's not considered viable. It's too slow pace. Mid lane, hero. Oh, he should go down, but he went one last. You know, he's like, I'm going to defend this creep wave. Whoa! Curse on the creep. I think that was intentional to try and save him.
Yeah, that was a cute curse from Super there. Hold back 2 and I guess it puts it on cooldown, but you keep your friendly foes alive.
I guess he could have also cursed the hero, I think, but maybe the creep was a little bit closer cast range, maybe? I'm not sure.
It's just a cuter player. What do you mean? He's gone for style points. It's all style points right now.
It looks really cool, like you said. Here we go. MagMa smoked up though. Curse on cooldown. They've got a double damage. I'm like, are they go? They could theoretically Roche with a bit of BD extras, but they want this. They want
positioning. FY. pops the smoke. I mean, he's a very farm lion, actually. 3,200 net worth is pretty close to the Aethelins with already the Arcane booster. But I guess even though they get the pick off on the support, they just needed one pick off to lead them into this tier 1 tower. So as long as they get an objective out of it, I'm more than happy with that.
Tower has fallen.
Yeah. And it's still the problem with Wraith King not having his ult.
Dire's bottom tower
That's where that Mars
is under
dying
attack.
and trading his life for reincarnation was totally okay for MagMa, because maybe Eurus could TP in there and just put his body in front of that tower to defend it. Not the case. MagMa get the tower. And they had that kind of really good objective taking
Dire's
lineup
bottom
where we
tower
can see
is
them
under
go for that
attack.
rush with maybe a level 2 exorcism. They can team fight whenever they've got the haunt back up. Shylock is farming well. Yeah, he's 5th in the net worth, but 5.5k net worth on Spectre, has Blade Mail plus Chip Vest, was blessed by Gaben, got the Chip Vest, and farm Ancients easily. This game's looking pretty good for him, I'd say.
Do you feel like Elephant going to look to play a little bit more fast-paced, knowing that the Shylock Spectre needs a couple more items?
Yeah, I think that's where this Wraith King build has become more popular, because it just comes online a little bit sooner. Even with just Armlet. The Armlet toggling is obviously really strong. The build synergizes well with your lifesteal, and when you're thinking like, okay, can we beat a Spectre late game, you need your Wraith King to have very single target damage focus, like the Radiance with the spread damage, and it's just not as much single target damage output as an Armlet Deso. Probably see like a Blink BKB type build after that. That's just a much better way to itemize again.
MagMa, they do have this advantage at the moment with this tier 1 tower mid-claimed, and we see just the extra little space this is able to provide them, although Elephant still look pretty happy. Somnus top of the net worth. It's going to scout out that this Ancients is blocked, so MagMa have done a very good job at controlling around the triangle. They've also placed this Observe Ward around the top side of the map near that tier 1 tower secret shop area, so we'll see MagMa to kind of smoke up in that vicinity and use the water if it's mainly just to scout out the farming patterns of the Wraith King.
Sure, he's the hero you want to play aggressive on. I feel like that's knowing where he's in the map is nice, because it means you can take a fight elsewhere. I think that's a big part of having that vision. Like if you see Wraith King one area, you can take a fight elsewhere. Try and go in on top. Super reveals himself by attacking.
Oh no!
No mistake.
Or Super just makes it down though.
He was just trying to see if there was an observer.
Dire's middle tower
don't even know
is
if he
under
meant
attack.
Bit of an accidental auto attack, yeah.
This could be big here for MagMa.
Not like a dream DD hero. It's different to like the TA Morphling games where it felt like if he gets a power rune, it's crazy good. I mean, it's DP. There are some, like the Arcane rune, I think is the big one for Death Prophet at this stage. Haste is also solid, but the Arcane rune's the big one. Really win you a team.
Yeah, I think the item and the timings are big for MagMa though. Josh just gets that second point in the Exorcism. TZY as well just picked up the Blink Dagger. He's having a solid game so far on his Mars. In the midst of the net worth, Blink Hood, he didn't go for that Orb of Corrosion build, but we're also seeing for Elephant. Their items are starting to accumulate here as FY completes the Aethelins. We also just saw a BKB completed for Somnus, so I think skirmish might break out soon.
Yeah, Somnus has just been quietly fucking away. Top of the net worth. Yeah, just based on how this game's been going, the pace and things, I wouldn't expect him to be the most farmed hero, but with the boots of the double build, on the greedier side. But this is how we're seeing this lane get played as basically
game. Can he get the split off? They need the control. Where's the extra round of the lockdown? It's there. Thus, with the silenced use, FY tried to protect him on the backline with the line, but wasn't able to do so successfully. However, was the Exorcism along with the Arena committed? Do they want to think about walking to Roshan? Oh, 100%. Deso just picked up. It's a big timing for Elephant here. And they also see all of MagMa down bot, so they're well aware this should be for free.
Yeah, I think a bit of a mistake from MagMa, and maybe they're gonna realize this Roche is going on. I don't even think they can or should contest it. They can probably just try to take this bottom tier 2 tower, but you never feel good about that kind of trade. They're probably saying like, oh, we gotta come and stop this, yeah.
Low here, break. Nina's actually going to claim the Aegis, but with that being said, couple spells chucked out, but they know they're not in a position to contest it.
You two, follow me!
Good Exorcist hindsight and definitely where the bit of surprise came in that they committed. They were maybe expecting a bigger team fight to happen, but give Elephant a bit of an advantage here going into this mid-game stage, having an Aegis in their hands. They're putting those item timings into Lina, BKB, Crystallis up soon as well, so a lot of right-click damage can be play. Almost like mid, they won't Kaz.
Just a solo split from Yang. The Wings a bit slippery. Death even used Kaz. Is he gonna die?
Oh, the
Oh, that would be so painful if he escaped like that.
Dire's middle tower
is under attack. Come out right at the end of the split.
Radiant's bottom tower
I'm not sure if they had a slow coming in from the Cinder Brew, but right now.
Another pick off.
Who would have Dire's middle tower?
It's a nice pick off. Heroes is here where you want to always try and defend your towers, like, you know, throw out a macro pyre, an ice path, but you've got to find a way to jump in if you're Elephant, and that's without a blink dagger. So Eurus has got a blink dagger queued up. He's got Claw now to go with his Deso. Single target damage is scary. MagMa maybe have some problems with really trying to get that kind of Manta Skadi timing on Spectre. That's where I feel like they're going to be able to suddenly fight again. Like, Manta Style is going to be a nice little boost in this Spectre strength. Like, it's not like they have to avoid fights if they can find a good one with one, but Skadi is where it feels like they're going to be on an even playing field.
Still going to need a little bit of time, Shylock, to get these items. It feels like you... Actually, do you feel like MagMa have to dodge the Aegis, or can they take the fight with all their ultimates?
Probably better to dodge, I think, because it's not just the Aegis, it's, the BKB factor. It feels like Elephant have hit their item timings with Armor Deso and Lina's BKB Crystallis, whereas...
They're going to smoke.
Scanning.
MagMa getting to Elephant smoke as well.
They back off. They're looking for pickoffs, it feels like. They make...
I don't know if you can bring instant Hex before the spear. Now with the DD, Mars is going to get obliterated, and Somnus is chasing forward for more. Crystallis completed the right click, too much for them to deal with, but they buy back on TZY, but where's the control? His blinks up and available, jumps in, Arena controlling the Lion. A lot of emphasis put to deal with FY. But that is a lot wasted as well. Exorcism, buyback on TZY and his Arena. Elephant, they can reset and go back down the mid or top to take an objective now.
I think the idea from MagMa was that the Brew split was on cooldown, so they felt maybe like they could go for a smoke play. At least try and find a big high priority kickoff, but as soon as they ran into Elephant and saw, oh, they're all here, they were like, okay, we can't take this fight. And I think that was the right call, but Mars going and looking, kind of got baited to go on the Lina because of the ice path. It wasn't like, you know, Jakira made a misplay. It was just throwing out an ice path, which pulled the Lina, and then Mars is like, oh, blink spear, push Lina out of position, maybe we can kill Lina twice. But very quick fingers from FY, the insta-head.
Somnus? Oh, they missed a spear. Somnus can turn, Yang. It's got the primal split. They are close to the tier 1 tower, so maybe there's some rotations for MagMa. No, the sacrificial lamb is the Jakiro. Even Eurus was swinging over. They had a great wall on the high ground. Well, they called out the Hoodwink. Kaz is going to end up falling too, so duo support on MagMa getting punished. And I mean, they're looking for pickoffs, but you've got to be a little bit more fast-paced than that. You can't miss abilities in a game like this. Elephant will look to punish you then.
Elephants, yeah, like I say, they're ready for it. They're punishing the missed skills. Even if he lands that spear, I think, you know, Lena's got this Aegis, which is expiring in a minute. They're just using this to get map control and farm, so it was a pickoff that was never going to probably end well.
Shylock now. Double spec FY. He gets the Mars too. He'll get crit down a couple of times, and that's a dieback. Elephant all of a sudden,
oh boy,
7,000 advantage here, and the Observer Ward on the high ground scouted out Mars and Spectre, trying to connect top to get a pick off on FY, and Elephant instantly read this. They TP Eurus, they TP Somnus, and dangle the Lion for a nice double pick off.
I love the way Somnus is playing, just using this boot to travel, not just as a 3D farming item, but he's been involved in 10 of these 11 kills. Really putting his name on this game and willing to use himself as bait bottom lane and then make the rotation top to help out his teammate as well. Just being a great team player, and we kind of talked about he hasn't looked like the, you know, 2016, 2017 Somnus or maybe, but this game he is showing that, you know, he's still got it and he can still have these flags.
honestly, silently for Yang, take a look at his farm. Aghanim's completed. He's very close to the Spectre, and this is the Midas build as well for the Brews. So this kind of slow, passive game that we've had this game one is really starting to showcase here. As Eurus, blink reveal mid. You know, it's a big kill getting the Jakira. I mean, just that's 409 gold as well for Eurus. They are just getting so much out of the map, and so it's like MagMa now on the back seat.
You get a decent chunk of change for these solo kills, and Blink, Armlet, Deso, Wraith King, about to get level 3 ultimate. Forced to be reckoned with. I feel like MagMa has taken a few too many ill-advised fights and well and truly in the backboard. And, you know, I mentioned this Spectre Skadi being the key item coming from them. The problem's going to be, it feels like they're going to be down, you know, potentially 15k gold plus, maybe second Roshan before that Skadi even comes online now because of these bad fight selections. And I think they realize they can't just wait for this Skadi. They've got to make a play now with their ultimates. Haven't seen that good Exorcism Mars Arena teamfight yet. They've used it a few times, gotten the pick off, killed a Brewmaster, but it's never been a 5-on-5 where the ultimates came out. And Radiant, they scanned this move. You know it's coming their way.
Oh, so on point, Elephant. This game one, and you just highlighted, yeah, these big team fights aren't showing for MagMa if they're wasting their ultimates, and Elephant are punishing, and this is scary. Like, you don't have supports that are able to make plays. They don't have stuns as well, so unless you get a big arena from TZY, Elephant just reset away from the Exo, and as soon as you commit that, you just lose so much map pressure. And I wonder if this just comes back to the support choice, honestly. With you take a look at Radiance, they can make a lot more plays than what Dyers can.
Hero had that one moment of brilliance in the bottom lane when they won that early tier 1 tower fight, killing the Lina. But yeah, since then, this is, you know, it's a very immobile hero. You mentioned the movement speed factor, and it just feels like it's not that big playmaker that you kind of maybe need on the MagMa side. They can make up for that with Mars. I don't think this is just purely a draft problem for MagMa. I think they're just being outplayed.
Find Jakiro though.
The Jakiro again. See, I'm gonna go push out a wave. Oh, I'm dead. 1, 6, and 2.
Then the tier 2 tower hit. MagMa, they are set up, but Elephant can just swarm around MagMa before they drop their ultimates, and with their burst, it's very worrying. MagMa have to survive through the initial onslaught of the damage, and if they can't, maybe they can burst through the Brewmaster. And Forgear is going to try and disrupt the backside of the stance, and the control's there. Kill off Yang, but now with the Exorcism committed, they need to get more out of this for MagMa, but there's no control. So yes, you kill Brood, you lose your tier 2, and now Elephant can reset and go again in a minute.
And in a minute, that means when Roche is up. So probably just see a free uncontested Roche 2, which Aghanim's showing. Curious to see where that one ends up. I don't really feel like they have a shard here, maybe.
Disconnected from the team. Expires, so they won't have this, but they've got 4 heroes surrounding the Wraith King right now. Radiant, they're swinging on over. Super's got the ultimate. They're going to be careful. They group up. The Macropie, Ice Punch, great silence. Dust controls up the Winter Wyvern, so they won't have the curse to stop the onslaught of MagMa. But if EKB he just makes it away. Eurus back to safety. They lose Wyvern. They don't care. They're happy with that.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
That was a bit sloppy from Elephant. They just won the big engagement mid by forcing an Exorcism, and I think Eurus is just like, oh, I can just walk up to the enemy Ancients and farm them, you know, there's no Exorcism, they can't kill me twice. But yeah, I mean, he's up there alone, dies once, the chain stun comes out, has the BKB and just TP out, and barely escapes the Spectre with that. And to Desolate damage doing odd, something he definitely has to respect. But this is what I expect from Alpha. Back off, Exorcism's down, back off, take Roshan. They just went about it in the, you know, slightly unconventional, slightly less optimal way. They're still getting there. They're still taking it.
Roshan spawned. Sorry, died. That was
wow. Orb of Destruction on Wraith King. Yeah, they've dream items for it. Daedalus Lina with Dragonlance now. Yeah, they are. They're looking scary.
I mean, FY with the Aghanim shard, Aegis on Lina, Cheese on Wraith King. There's big advantages against the teamfight lineup that MagMa have would spell disaster for them. Like, if they need a long drawn out fight, but that's really difficult now with all these extra lives here. Like it could just be too drawn out where the ultimates then expire.
Radiant are scanning.
Yeah, it's tough, I think. See if
Dire's top tower
the plan's going to be. MagMa, yeah, they're about to say, are they going to take a fight or just blink the hell out of there? And it looks like the plan is to just run.
Somnus, he's going to catch out the retreat though. TZY won't be able to TP back to safety. As will make it. I mean, it does get them away from objectives, but this is real silver lining things right now. Losing a position 3 Mars for that.
MagMa needed to probably just stall out this Aegis. And they've got their big ultimates up. I don't think they want to fight. Marzi's just to play the game. Increase his duration. He's going to be able to play this way.
So for this, top lane, BKB used as well. Can he even kill the lion? He's got a TP out. The BKB's about to expire. Dust!
Oh no.
He's been the staple player for MagMa in their entire run through the lower bracket. But his death profit this game, it's not what we've seen so far from him.
That's his first death, surprisingly. He's had a solid game in some ways, but yeah, some bad exorcisms, perhaps. I don't mind the idea of going for it because they're not winning a team, but I guess the problem is committing exorcism means maybe the elephant just go high ground and Shiloh cannot afford to die. He is gone. I don't think there's
they are just getting outmaneuvered, outpaced. Elephant, the experience is coming into play. 5 TI players are just running rampant in this game 1 here. Another core down. Can't any retaliation from Team MagMa, and now their high ground's going to be under siege shortly.
They're just being a bit outclassed here, and I think feeling like they're forced to make those plays. Like us is like, yeah, this game's falling apart. I'll storm mid. Let's try and make a solo kill on it, even if it's on the support. Heroes, no mercy to this Origin hero. This Lina hero may be something that just has to be addressed going into game 2, or taken away from MagMa themselves. Because first pick Lina, they're just first picking your mid, and it feels like there's no easy answer. The hero just farms, gets route to travel, BKB, and then you can go for whatever you want after that. And it's something Dust himself plays because it feels like it's just so safe and reliable.
KB, that jump from Mars. Nothing here as it's another pick off. He's got a buyback. His top set of racks getting decimated as Elephant are able to siege so fast. They even got the primal split as well. Yang with the Aghanims use his charges willy-nilly.
Lanes of racks, back off. Well executed 5 for them. They've still got Aegis for another 4 minutes, so not sure they can get that 3rd lane of racks, but at this point, it's like that monumental cold lead where I think MagMa have one last Hail Mary team fight left in the bag, and I'm not sure there's an easy way for it to go well for them. They probably have to wait for this Aegis to expire, try and jump and kill Somnus. He is the crazy big damage dealer in these fights. The Wraith King as well doing a lot of damage with his item build, but with the 2 lives, you have to prioritize him.
How much do you feel this was just an outdraft or just Elephant experience really coming into fruition in a game like this?
I think not. I would say more experience in play. There's probably some discussion about tweaks they could make in the draft. Like, you've only seen 3 games of Jakiro in the entire TI-10 qualifiers. I think 2 of them were Spider Pigs over in Europe. So it's not a common meta hero. So definitely, I think you see the draft and you're like, oh, MagMa picked Jakiro. Surely if they're doing that, their draft is worse. But I think we saw in the lanes, things looked okay for them. They came out of the lanes, took a good fight at the bottom tier 1 tower. More than anything, I think the play, Elephant's just been a few steps ahead. And draft-wise, I'd say that's maybe 10 to 20.
They're going to make an attempt here. On desperation smoke, Elephant. Getting caught, getting instant ice path. Trying to get out of Brewmaster, but he's got the Aeon disc. He's able to get the ultimate off. Tricks got delivered to him. And Dusk, but targeting down Somnus. Great prioritization from the Spectre, but Somnus just turns opposite Satanic with the BKB, and that is all she wrote for game 1. As MagMa gets steamrolled by Elephant here in our semi-finals.
That was the best team fight they've had, but it's also because Elephant gave them the team fight. But that's what they need to do. Prioritize the Lina. I mean, killing